for endorsing him in 2015 and congratulates the people and government of Abia State, family members and friends of the royal father on this auspicious day, praying for longer life and good health for the Nigerian. And on a sad note, a property worth millions of naira was, in the early hours of Monday, 31st December 2018, gutted by fire when two fuel stations, residential buildings and several shops in Trans-Ikolu, Enugu metropolis went up in flames. Ngozi Silva Technikio quotes eyewitnesses as saying that the inferno emanated from a tanker discharging cooking gas in one of the fuel stations.
Our vehicle had to turn back and everybody were running away. And we discovered that it's as a result of there was a little loophole or leakage from the tanker.
And that's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Jume and Kieran right after the break.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
Under no conditions whatsoever should we tolerate or excuse or justify hate speech or hateful conduct of any kind, especially where such is illegal.
There's no doubt that the resurgent push for separatism, as well as the rising cases of ethnic and religious disharmony, are all traceable to the growing phenomenon of hate speech.
One nation bound in freedom.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous. Whether you do it for fun or for political gains, real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
And now let's turn to business. As major business and economic activities commence today after the holiday to mark the Christmas and New Year, Joy Uzo brings us a review of activities in some areas of Nigeria's economic terrain and projections for the new year. Joy Uzo, it's over to you.
Welcome. We'll start with a brief review of the capital market performance for the previous year and projections for 2019. In spite of analysts' expectations that the surge witnessed in the performance of the nation's bourse in 2017 would translate to a high investment yield in 2018, stock market activities last year was rather feeble across sectors as investors lost a whopping 4.2 trillion naira. Analysts and operators blamed the flattish condition on the tension that plagued the political space in 2018. Foreign investors pulled out a total of 605.54 billion naira from the Nigerian stock market from January to November 2018, compared to the 402.26 billion naira withdrawn in the same period of 2017. Latest data obtained from the Nigerian Stock Exchange showed that foreign inflows into the market fell to 553.48 billion naira in the 9-month period from 598.82 billion naira in 2017. Meanwhile, observers say, as anticipated, there was an an overall positive performance on the last trading day of 2018 due largely to portfolio rebalancing actions by asset and portfolio managers. In this new year, however, the opinion is that they expect the equities market to resume trading on a weak note while anticipating a post-election rally across all indices on the local bourse. And still talking estimates from the 2019 budget, the federal government is proposing to spend over 107 billion naira this year on various railway projects in the country. Details of the proposal are contained in the 2019 budget, which was presented by President Muhammadu Buhari to the National Assembly. The 2019 budget has an estimate of 8.83 trillion naira made up of 4.04 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure, 2.03 trillion naira for capital expenditure, and 2.14 trillion naira for debt servicing, among others. According to the budget document, out of the 107 billion naira, about 80.22 billion naira will be spent on counterpart funding for railway projects, while 27.12 billion naira is being earmarked for various rehabilitation of railway tracks. In the banking sector, effective from this new year, customers of Access Bank PLC and Diamond Bank PLC now have access to over 3,100 automated teller machines, ATMs, free of charge. This implies that customers can use any Diamond Bank ATMs without paying the usual charges that apply on withdrawals from other banks' ATMs. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, of September 2014 reintroduced 65 naira charges on transactions at other banks' ATM known as remote on us after 4 withdrawals. But with the merger of Access Bank and Diamond Bank in December 2018, the charge would not apply to customers of these banks. That's business news. Thanks for your time. I'm Joy Uzo.
Thank you, Joy, for the update on business. Next on Good Morning Nigeria is the newspaper review.
Now let's welcome Bayo Toyabi, our reviewer. He's here this morning for another round of analysis on newspaper review. Bayo, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, thank you. Good morning, Jumai.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nigeria. Happy New Year.
Jumai?
We're starting with the Daily Trust today, and above we have Boko Haram. We are faced with serious challenges in Borno. That is by Governor Kashim Shettima of Borno State. With a rider, FG funds early works for 20 trillion Mambila hydropower. And then below the masthead, we have 12 killed in Ibadan New Year road crash. And the picture message says, Speaker of the Zamfara State House of Assembly, Alhaji Sanusi Rikiji, second right, with other state government officials, present 500,000 naira donated by the Zamfara State government to an injured soldier at the Federal Medical Center in Gusau, Zamfara State yesterday. The soldier was ambushed by armed bandits at Damburum Forest during a joint military operation between the Nigerian Army and Niger Republic soldiers. And then we have at the bottom plate, Aisha makes U-turn, constitutes 700-member Buhari re-election. That's on 713, page 13. Borno, Yobe, Zamfara killings unacceptable, JNI. Page 6. Minimum wage, NLC blames Buhari for not transmitting bill to National Assembly. That's on page 3.
All right, now let's turn to the New Telegraph this morning. Below the nameplate of the New Telegraph newspaper, we have some headlines there. 2019, that's a kicker. Don't intimidate voters with soldiers on Echo, tells Buhari. It's on page 5. NMPC imported 2.28 trillion naira worth of petrol in 2018. That's on page 6. Elumelu, luck played role in my career success. That's on page 4 of New Telegraph. And we have JNI expresses worry over Nigeria's security challenge. You can find that on page 7. Now, the lead headline on the New Telegraph newspaper, it says, tragic New Year day with 4 riders there. A trailer kills pregnant woman, 19 others in Ibadan. Armed robbers, auto crashes claim 14 in Ondo. Herdsman murder 14 grace houses in Plateau. And headers born Benue Governor's Rice Farm. That's according to the New Telegraph this morning. But the picture story you see there, does the New Year babies being presented by some wives of governors of different states across the nation. Wife of the governor of Lagos State, Bolanle, has a baby there, and that's of Bauchi State Deputy Governor also has a baby there. These are new babies, the new year. Now, below that photograph, we have 2019 as kicker. Aisha Buhari leads APC Women Youth Presidential Campaign Team with 3 riders. Governor's wives appointed coordinators. Kalu, Sharif, Chime make list. Tinubu meets with loyalists, strategizes on decimation of PDP. And that's on page 4. We'll bring in Bayo here now for some analysis.
Well, it's very sad, the dangers that have occurred on the highway, and particularly the loss of life. The one that the paper highlighted is the accident that happened on the Ife-Ibadan Expressway. It was an articulated vehicle that was involved, and unfortunately as many as 19 persons, including a pregnant woman, were killed. The danger here is that because of the pressure on the highway and the pressure of people moving during Xmas, the anxiety and the need to make people throw caution to the wind. And so our motorists need to be very careful on the highway. I'm talking about caution about violence. The Jamaat Nasratul Islam has cautioned about violence. The emirs too have risen to the occasion, have enjoined politicians to avoid instances whereby they could instigate the youths into violence. And the political parties too have not kept quiet. The All Progressive Congress have enjoined Nigerians to walk towards 2019 with the greatest optimism and positive possibilities. Publicity Secretary of the party, Lanre Issa Oniru, says that APC is committed to good governance and participatory democracy for to ensure that elections are free, fair, credible, and transparent in 2019. They enjoin Nigerians to put their hope on the party, and because the nation has turned the corner, moving away from the years of waste and the challenges we had in the past to a prosperous future. On the part of the People's Democratic Party, they say voting decisions of Nigerians in the general election will determine the future of the country. The party chairman, Uche Sekondo, says 2019 is a restoration year for the country. The chairman called the general election as an opportunity to restore and rescue Nigeria as a country, as the biggest black nation of the world, both economically and politically. He said 2019 provides the way to correct the mistakes of 2015. Specifically, the chairman admonished the Independent National Electoral Commission to give the country free, fair, and credible election. On the other hand, it also advised security agencies that their responsibility to Nigeria is to remain transparently neutral. Governor Willie Obiano of Anambra State also lended his voice to Nigeria and said Nigerians should show love to one another in the new year. He says the Anambra State governor said 2019 is a defining year in our political history. We must choose between marching forward or sliding backwards. And the governor says, whatever our decisions turn out to be, it must serve as a purpose of deepening the roots of our democracy. And Nigerians must recognize that Nigeria is bigger than all the political parties and their candidates. He reminds all candidates that running for the office, while running for the office, they should all put Nigeria first in all their plans and their strategies. Reverend Baka is also in the news again. He apparently has violated the instructions by the Archbishop's Council, and he's already on the campaign trail. And he says that as far as he's concerned, the Catholic Church supports the fight against corruption, and that is why that is why it created prayers against bribery and corruption. And therefore, as far as he's concerned, this country, if we are to move forward, we should support and continue the fight against corruption. The Tribune recalls that the Catholic Bishops' Conference had declared that no priest or religious leader should publicly support any political party.
But would you say with all certainty that he has violated, because he didn't ask people to vote this time around?
Indirectly, he actually alluded to who to vote to, and that is why the paper is recalling the directive by the
for the fight against
specific
corruption.
candidate, yes. But for us here, while we are doing the review, we are trying to avoid hate speech and be as neutral as possible. When they campaign, we take out all the hate speeches and emphasize on the positive aspects of it, because we are not, they are free to say whatever they will say on the rostrum. But we have to be cautious at the media not to bring save the grain from the chaff.
That's quite interesting, Bayo. And now we go to the leadership newspaper. Below the masthead is investors lose 1.9 trillion to stock market volatility. And then we have Boko Haram, Shatima seeks more support for military. That's on page 6. Aisha Buhari sets up 700-member team for PMB's re-election. And then we have the picture story there still on the first baby in Abuja, born on the 1st of January. Mother of the baby, Mrs. Ann Ame, the father, Linus Ame, representative of the wife of the president, Dr. Hajjusani, and others during the presidential of gifts to the first baby born in 2019 at Dinyanya's General Hospital, Abuja, yesterday. And then we have JNI, as just like the other papers. Emirs decries circle of pre-election bloodshed. That's on page 4. And below at the number, we have Kano-based rice mill hits 250 tons daily production. That's on page 50. Pregnant woman, 20 others die in Ibadan auto crash on page 49. Nigeria's crude oil production rises by 9%. That is good news to Nigerians, Bayo. And 96,000 get startup loans in Katsina. Bayo.
Yes, good news about production. In fact, there was also a revelation from the central bank that the excess crude account has also increased to about $42.6 billion, I think, $billion, I think that was. But talking about the story Kirian read earlier on about Labour preparing for its imminent strike in January 8, the Minister of Labour and Employment has given indication that the protracted strike by the Academic Staff Union of Nigeria University may soon be called off. The Minister of Labour said that government gave the hint that government has made provision to meet most of the demands of the union. Dr. Chris Ngige says that necessary efforts are afoot to ensure that the strike ends in January. On the new minimum wage, he said government is fine-tuning to fulfill the requirements of the implementation of the tripartite committee's negotiation outcome. He clarified that the technical committee that was set up by government is not to fund, is not to review what has been decided. Rather, it was supposed to fund for the, is supposed to source for funds and substance of the minimum wage. He said it is not to review the already agreed agreement between Labour and government. So if all things are equal, hopefully the January 8th strike deadline may now have its wind, the wind taken out of its sail, if what the minister says is anything to go by.
Okay. All right, thank you, Bayo. And we'll now go to the editorial for today. The editorial is taken from the Punch newspaper. It's on page 20 of the Punch newspaper. It's on NCC on telecoms operators' illegalities. Now, opacity, illegalities, and a weak regulatory milieu have combined to define telecoms operations in Nigeria. Apart from enduring substandard services, subscribers have also been groaning under the weight of excessive and unapproved charges, which the regulator, the Nigerian Communications Commission, has just estimated at billions of naira. This is a colossal loss to customers. Having identified the illegality, it behoves on the NCC to develop and implement holistic measures against such impunity.
Yes, the editorial is actually lamenting about what it described as the failure of the regulated, the Nigerian Communications Commission to rein in the telephone operators for some of the concerns that subscribers have complained about. And that is why he's saying that there's no transparency and there's still what he described as opacity in the activity, particularly that some of the illegalities that subscribers has complained still persists. They identify some of these as unapproved charges, unsolicited text messages, as well as unsolicited adverts. They said that the measure that was taken some time ago was what they describe as do not disturb, for which you use 2442 to stop messages that you didn't ask for, that it is not working as effectively as expected. They also are saying that other measures that was introduced early in the year, like porting, you are free to port your number from one agency to the other, as well as the idea of data, rolling over your data, have not been effective. So if you purchase data and you don't finish using it within that month, you don't have the room to carry it over. You lose that quantity of data that is available. So these are the challenges, and they are certain that the regulatory agency should be up and doing by ensuring that the operators do not continue to circumvent the rules and they enforce the rule, because the regulator's duty is to ensure that rules guarding the business are complied with.
And many subscribers also ask, why should a GSM operator send unsolicited messages only to ask you, if it's not acceptable to you, to do one or two things? But as you pointed out, it never worked. Even in our own personal telephones, you get messages, even advertorials from time to time, unsolicited for. And it goes on. And I recall that we hosted NCC officers here some time ago on this particular platform. And there were assurances from them that that has been taken care of. But from all indications, it does seem that nothing concrete has actually been done, to stop this.
Well, it's a big challenge. If you look at the subscriber base of the telephone population, it's about 169 million, and that's quite humongous. But be that as it may, rules for a regulator must be implemented, sometimes with a human face. But however, unless we enforce it, you are going to have people try to jump the gun.
Thank you so much, Bayo Tobi. Thank you. Compliments of the season.
Same to you.
We'll take a break right now. Good Morning Nigeria continues in a moment.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture.
The 30K is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Reorganized, trained, and fully equipped, we are the new improved Nigeria Police Force. We fight crime, we bust syndicates. Whatever the crime, wherever the hideout, the Nigeria Police Force will get you busted. Stop kidnapping, armed robbery, murder, pipeline vandalism, and other criminal activities. Be productive. Be security conscious. Join the police force to secure your life and property. This message is from the Nigeria Police Force Public Relations Department.
Brought us as usual.
As usual. You have no problem.
For the three
you are welcome, sir.
As usual, yeah?
Welcome. You take that one.
Yes.
Take that one.
Yeah.
You don't understand? We want Nigerian homegrown rice. Finish. You don't have. You don't have.
Join the rice revolution today.
No other rice that tastes like Nigerian rice.
Are you sorry? That's the Nigerian rice we are talking about.
Chocolate made in Nigerian rice. Healthy food.
I'm going to bring Mrs. Mobu to come to chocolate rice of made in Nigeria here. And see how it are made.
Correct.
And how they are cook it.
Correct.
Homegrown rice are good for your health. It boosts our economy and give employment to our people.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
It is that time of the year when we appreciate all those that mean so much to us. All sponsors, our clients, government at all levels, corporate bodies, advertisers, religious bodies, civil society groups, political parties, business, and above all, you, our esteemed viewers. Together we made 2018 great. Together we shall make 2019 even greater. And that is why we say thank you. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
And this is Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. Now we are continuing our discussion series on the 2019 campaign manifestos of political parties.
And today we are looking at the manifestos of two political parties, the Abundant Nigerian Renewal Party, ANRP, and the Young Democratic Party, YDP.
And we'll start our discussion with the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, ANRP. And we have joining us in the studio the party's presidential candidate, Mr. Tope Fashua. Mr. Fashua, you're welcome to Good Morning
Thank you very much.
Nigeria.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting us.
And also with us is the Deputy Director General of the party's campaign organization, Mr. Deji Botosha. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
I'll start with you, Mr. Tope Fashua. Your campaign focuses on building an abundant Nigeria. Absolutely. I'm sure Nigerians would like to know, what exactly do you mean by that?
Oh, thank you very much. And it's great to be here. And I need to thank NTA for this platform. It's not easy. For giving other parties a level playing ground. It's recommendable. So when we started, actually, it dovetails even to the name of the party, Abundant Nigeria. There's a reason why we chose that name. When we started out, a few people felt, oh, this sounds like the name of a church. But we said then that you see what will happen during the campaign season, because every Nigerian understands that there's abundance of everything in this country. Then you now wonder why Nigeria is the global headquarters of inequality, according to the Oxfam. So what we're trying to do is to bring that abundance back into focus, not only in terms of natural resources, but more especially in terms of human resources. We've got some of the brainiest people in this country. We've got a youth bulge. That's a lot of energy, a lot of passion, a lot of innocence that the country can project upon. And we've already started doing this even without being in office yet. For example, we have been on the streets about 3 times demonstrating for an increase, a doubling of our budget right now. For some reason, the budget is being reduced for 2019 from 9.1 trillion to 8.8 trillion. And we felt very, very strongly that this shouldn't be the case for one reason, that again, our population is growing in abundance, 3.2% growth in population. That's one of the healthiest growth in population in the world. We shouldn't criminalize population growth because it can be an advantage. In China, 1.4 billion people is now being used as what they call domestic consumption, because now they're saying we can produce and consume ourselves. So we're trying to bring focus to this. We've said that the budget for this year ordinarily should be 15 trillion, and we believe that the abundance of liquidity is there in this country to drive that budget. So we're still on it, even though the budget is now with the National Assembly. We're discussing with them already, the Chairman Senate Committee on Appropriation, the Senate President himself, that whether we're in or out of office, we want to see a scenario where Nigerians begin to enjoy the wealth of their country, and that, of course, this huge poverty problem that we have, like you will know, it becomes cliched now, that Nigeria actually has the highest number of poor people in the world. It's about 88 to 89 million people out of maybe 180, 190 million. It's unacceptable. And so this is how we're thinking about abundance for this country. We believe that the economy should be driven by the young people of this country. Not necessarily that the young people should be in politics, right? But the young people have the surfeit of energy and imagination, you know, that they can actually begin to deploy right now. One of the things we think about when we talk about education in our party, we feel that, you know, at the tertiary level of education, we should begin to move away from theory into practical. We have to force it, you know, because of course there are interests that want things to continue the way it is. But we can begin to move from theory into practical, and in which case we believe that, I mean, students of engineering should begin to practice what they are studying in school, right? For example, there's no reason why vice chancellors should not be able to allow students to tar some roads within the school. And after that, you begin to take that outside the university campus. You know, we believe that, you know, every small roads in this country by now should be tarred with the assistance or with the imagination and the designing and all of that of students of civil engineering in all our universities and polytechnics. And equally, that our electricity problem will eventually be sustainably fixed by students of electrical engineering in our university. They have to start small, and then you scale up. And even students of history, sociology, anthropology, nothing is useless. For example, our languages are disappearing. I mean, there are many small, in Adamawa State alone, there's about 200 languages. Who is documenting them? Nobody. You know, so that's what our students should do. No field of study is useless. Students of history, sociology, anthropology begin to compile the histories of our different settlements, you know, sociology, put them, and then the guys in IT, you know, we begin to put those things on the internet for us, you know, so we can actually have a Google, we can build a Google of Nigerian information alone, and that's the kind of way we think in NRP.
Yeah, and Jume, I think that the not too young to run is becoming gradually effective. You know, given the fact that young Nigerians, like we have in the studio this morning, are beginning to be emboldened, you know, to seek the highest office in the land, to see how they can bring in new ideologies that could help, you know, promote the nation economically, politically, and otherwise. And so now let's turn to Mr. Botosh, you know, who is actually the head of the campaign team of this very new party. Your party is relatively new in the Nigeria's political landscape. Now, what makes this party different, you know, from other parties?
Yeah, thank you very much. Abundant Nigeria, Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party is a young party. We started in 2016. We have a lot of youths in the party. The growth of the party, we look at the growth of the party as based on youth involvement in politics, in governance, you understand? So we want to harness the ideas, the creativity in these youths so that they can come forward and say, these are the things we think about. These are the things we know. Because we have a lot of brains among the youths. These are the things that we should do. But because of the fact that they have not been able to have the opportunity, this is the first time in Nigerian politics that the youths are actually having an opportunity to have a say in how the country should be run. That is why our manifesto is called Revolution of Ideas. Revolution of ideas in terms of creativity, in terms of inclusiveness, in terms of the energy that is inherent in our youth. You understand? If you look at the politics today, if you look at most of the big political parties, check the average age. It's about 60-something. You understand? Well, it's good to have elderly people, you know, in governance. But then, we also need some energy, some vibrancies, some creativity, you know, in terms of ideas, in terms of, you know, we have a lot of things that are going on now in the technology space. These are the youths that are, you understand what I'm saying, bringing most of these things up. So basically, what we are trying to do is we are trying to say, let the youths come out with ideas. just like our President Kakayita have said, youth should also be involved in development, infrastructural development. You understand? Engineers should have something to do. Technology should have something to do. You understand what I'm saying? Even in medicine, you understand? We have a lot of Nigerians who are doing so well, you know, in the areas of medicine. So basically, we need this inclusiveness in, you know, in governance. That is what we preach, and that is what we have been doing for the past 2-3 years. Bringing in youth, bringing in the ideas, we have documented a lot of things. We have put it in the domain, in the public domain. In fact, the current government is stealing from some of those ideas.
Ideas that you have.
Yeah, we said that we should increase the budget. They said no, we cannot finance it. They have reduced it, slashed it down. It's still there. They are still battling with it. But suddenly they have come up with the ideas that they want to slash their own extravagant spendings too. They want to reduce how many Lexus Jeeps they own. A car can last for 10 years, for God's sake. Why must you need to buy a new car every year? You understand what I'm saying? So some of these ideas, they are also listening. They are listening. And the ideas are winning gradually. You understand? So we have come out to say that we cannot just sit back and look at how things are. Let us come out and say and talk and let them know that we know that they also know that what they are doing is not good. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. So since they know and we have spoken, then they should be able to listen, and they are actually listening. You know, so that is what we preach, and that is our philosophy. Okay. Maybe later on when we go through the manifesto, we can also go into some other things.
Thank you, Mr. Bosho. Mr. Fash, let's look at the so many parties that have been registered for the 2019 general elections, and you are vying for the presidential seat. What is that unique thing that makes your party different from the rest?
Okay, I mean, I'll probably just hark back to what my colleague, Mr. Gbotosho, just said. First of all, we didn't come with the not too young to run. That's the truth. We started before the not too young to run. We started this idea of this party in 2016. Not too young to run is a 2018 phenomenon. Luckily, they got it done. Yeah, so it's kudos to them, right? However, the problem with not too young to run is after they got the politics thing done to say we are reducing the age by 5 years each and so on, the youth of Nigeria suddenly found that they couldn't afford to pay nomination fees. So what I've advised some of our youth to that, look, don't focus so much on politics. People want to go out of university and straight into politics. No. You have to, I think that we should have a bill called Not Too Young to Get a Job, to have some money in my pocket, to be useful to myself and my family bill first. Then we now look at Not Too Young to Run for Politics bill. All right, but luckily we have that one now. Let them now seek for that Not Too Young to be useful to my country bill. Very, very important. You cannot, everybody, look, if you get into politics straight out of youth service, you are going to be part of the problem. Professional politicians who are moving around and you know, their appetites are so large and they feed on the Commonwealth. So they're looking for anyhow to get public money. They need to travel. They need to stay in the best hotels in the world. And all of that. We can't have that. It's unfortunate. The focus should not be on politics. The focus should be on economics. The focus should be on job creation. The focus should be on reducing inequality in our land. That's what the focus should be. That's what it is everywhere in the world. And so part of the things that make us unique is that, look, all our research is out in the space. By God's grace, ANRP today, especially our presidential campaign, has the most number of infographics in the Nigerian public space. If we think about an idea, we feel like this is the way it should run, we do an infographic about it, we throw them outside. Our manifesto has been out for almost a year now. You know, push them outside. And like he said, we've been seeing people take from the ideas, and we don't mind people stealing from the ideas, so long as Nigeria works. It was the pressure we gave Ministry of Budget, and we've been on the Ministry of Budget thrice demonstrating. That made them say, the minister, Senator Udoma, said, look, that this year, 2019, we will not be financing new cars. It was the pressure we gave them, and we're watching that budget. Because we say that whether we are in or out of office, we must begin to make impact. Even the other gentleman who is in PDP, you know, recently they came out. The last statement on the budget from the PDP quarters was that the budget was too small for the Nigerian economy. But you see, we see that we are forcing them to think. They may be bigger than us. They may have a lot more money than us. They may not have access to funds and all of that. But we are unique in terms of the fact that we are a thinking people, a thinking party, and we are very generous. No, very important, sir. We are very generous in putting all our ideas out.
I'm not stopping you now, you know, but to add to the question, you know, put to you by my colleague. Now, let's go to some specifics. We have done some good analysis, you know, understanding the Nigeria's political landscape and the terrain and what's obtainable in the present circumstance. But now I want us to go to some specifics. Now, talk about dependence, over-dependence on oil, for instance. We've been operating a mono economy for a very long time. And of course, even when you talk about oil, we don't even refine as much as we need to consume locally, for instance. So what will be your party's plan, you know, to address this anomaly?
Again, because we're a party based on research, we're young people, we're based on knowledge. And we know that we live in the knowledge age today, all right? So we are very, very patriotic. That's the thing. In fact, first of all, to look at the name of the party, we ensure that Nigeria was in our name. It's quite a bit a long name. Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. We know that Nigeria needs to be renewed. We called it a party. We didn't call it a movement or a congress. Because, look, when we were coming out, we were pioneers in our time. In 2016, many of the people who were... No, just a minute. Don't worry, I'm going to get there. Many people who are in the space today were not thinking of politics, and we saw this far. And we knew there's going to come a time when the space will be crowded. So Nigeria is in our name. Party is in our name. We are very patriotic people. We put all our ideas outside. One of the things we discovered about crude oil was, you know, one day we felt, look, this crude oil thing, how much is it per liter? At about $50 today, at 305 naira to the dollar, which is the official rate, that's 15,250 naira, divided by 159 liters. 159 liters make 1 barrel. 1 barrel of crude oil is 95 naira. Then it occurred to me, I personally, that look, I was coming back from Ondo State one day. I bought some, you know, palm oil for my house, you know. And, you know, each 1 5-liter jerry can is about 2,400 naira. So meaning that a 1 liter of palm oil is about 500 to 600 naira, whereas 1 liter of crude oil is 95 naira. This brings to focus that why would we actually focus on crude oil in this country, apart from the fact that we cannot refine? And what is even in refining? So one of the things, some of our thoughts in that area, number one, the fact that we are drilling this crude oil and we have absolutely no input in it. If the international oil companies and oil servicing companies don't do this work, we can't even get 1 barrel of crude oil out of the ground, number one. So number two, the cost of producing crude oil is very, very high. So the only allure, the only attraction for crude oil is that we can generally sit in our offices as big men, as politicians, and all of a sudden you see a lot, $1 billion going into your JP Morgan account. But that $1 billion doesn't belong to you. So that means that because this product is not very profitable, I must say, I mind you that for 300 years, up until 1973, during the Yom Kippur War, the price of crude oil was $3 per barrel. During that 1973, when OPEC was created, and, you know, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria joined, and a few other countries, you know, they decided that, look, we're going to deal with the West for supporting Israel against Egypt. And OPEC was formed. The price of crude oil went for the first time up to $12. It was like, oh my God, this is so much money, it's unbelievable. And that was when in Nigeria, during Go1, we said, look, we had so much money, the problem was how to spend. So now the point is, we're bringing focus to the fact that, number one, this product is not such that we should actually focus on that much. Number two, we have even other products.
How do you diversify from it?
No, this is just, first of all, before we diversify, we want to shock the system, right? We want to shock the system with this information. This same palm oil we're talking about, Nigeria has been trading with Portuguese people since 1400. So the thing about diversifying an economy, and I'm an economist, is that this is an area I love to talk about. The thing about diversifying, at the end of the day, a diversified economy is actually a very fairly self-reliant country. A country where you can, first of all, so a country where whatever you need in that country, as a citizen of that country, you can get it in that country at a relative price, while you are playing the globalization game. You will never say you will not be a globalized country. All right? We have signed documents in the World Trade Organization, which we have to keep to that. All right? But if you look at every country that is working, United States of America, China, India, and all of that, there are two ways of diversifying. You diversify in terms of the income of your country. You diversify in terms of the products that you sell. And also you diversify in a spatial manner, meaning that a lot of things should be happening in different areas of Nigeria at the same time. That's called spatial diversification. In which case, what I'm saying is, when you look at the idea of what we believe that students can do, imagine if we can activate the engineering students all over the universities and polytechnic, from Maiduguri to Sokoto, from Sokoto to Akwa Ibom State, from Akwa Ibom to Lagos and co. You're going to see a lot of work that will be done by our students, not necessarily on a contract basis, but in a way to begin to tool them such that when they come out of university, they have something on their CV. That's the way to diversify the economy spatially. In terms of product diversification, let's deal with this crude oil problem. The only refinery in any university in Nigeria today is in ABU. Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. Now, imagine the source of the crude oil down in the south. Imagine where the refinery is in ABU. And nobody told the guys in the south not to do their own refinery. Why is Uniport, Unical, UNIU, Federal University of Tuoke, Niger Delta University, River State University of Science and Technology, Ondo State University, Imo State University, all of those places that are, oil-producing states, how come none of their universities can even, refine 1 barrel? The refinery in ABU refines only 1 barrel a day. That's the capacity. Now, look at what the boys in Niger Delta are doing. We call it illegal refinery. You see, because at the end of the day, refining is not a rocket science. Exactly. We shouldn't actually be thinking of bringing refineries from abroad. People say it costs 7.5 billion to set up a refinery because we have refused to think as a people. And look, it's not a matter of government. If government is not doing it, what about the so-called private sector? What about university? What does it take? If you look, I've watched a lot of documentaries of this so-called illegal refinery. You see that the boys, they put a huge bonfire on a huge vat of crude oil, and then they continue to boil, but they put pipes out. They understand the science. Yeah, the so, number one, why are we? I've seen instances where after they've done all of that, they have their diesel there, they pack them in jerry cans and in huge nylon bags and so on. And you know what broke my heart was I saw members of the civil defense. They go there, they cut up all of the diesel. They empty them inside the river. We're talking about thousands of liters emptied into the river. So, oh my God, how can you do this? So double, triple jeopardy. It's bad enough that those boys have got those things illegally. It's bad enough that in their refining process, they kill the entire environment. It's bad enough now that you, as state agents, have gone to cut those things and to put inside. Look, the fish in the river have not done anything wrong for Nigeria. All right, so these are the ways that we're thinking. You
have more time to talk.
Exactly.
You have more time to talk. Actually, you have done an interesting analysis, based on your understanding and what you think the nation could do to diversify economy. All right, so Jumai.
Yes, diversification. You've been talking about the oil sector. We have some good news, 9% increment in production, actually. So if you're voted into government, what would you do to revive the refineries? You've talked so much about the disadvantages, exactly. What is happening. What are you doing to revive it? What would you do to revive it?
Jimmy, a fantastic question. In fact, this morning, I think I was reading some news item where, first of all, that the GMD of NNPC, Malam Mekanti Baru, actually said that for 42 years, we have not had what they call TAM, turnaround maintenance in the refineries. And I was shocked because I thought that we still had some TAM during the Obasanjo era, even though I've not heard about TAM in the last 15 years. I've not heard about that. Now, the truth is that those refineries are moribund. I also saw some news item where it is said that, maybe some of those refineries will be sold off as scrap. Because again, a lot of it is scrap, all right? They said it takes, each refinery has a lifespan of about 30 years, even though I don't believe it, but I saw that news item somewhere as well. But I've been to some refineries in Houston, in Texas. There's a refinery in Houston, Texas that does about 550,000 barrels a day, massive, it's been there forever. But the reason why they can keep it there for this long, because that refinery in Texas has been around for about 60 years. The reason why they can do that is because they own the technology. Now, if you understand technology, you know that for a simple technology, you can keep on maintaining it by just keeping the system working. The problem we have is that we import the technology, we don't understand the technology, and so anything that goes wrong on that technology, we have to go back abroad to bring stuff in order to bring people in who can repair them. And there's going to be a point at which they say, listen, this is beyond servicing. We can't service this anymore. So those refineries, I think we should actually forget them. All right? If we can sell them as scrap, let's sell them as scrap. All right? However, I'm saying that there are new technologies in terms of refining now. I'm saying also that if those boys in Niger Delta can actually get that done, our universities, even our private sector, can begin to mimic some sort of, production. We can begin to fabricate machines that will actually do that work a lot neater than those guys are doing. So to a large extent, refining should not be such a big deal for us.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's already over.
Thank you indeed. No, you're going to take more questions, okay, as we move on. But we would like to return to your the head of your or deputy head of your campaign organization, and to ask you this now: how spread is this party? Are we talking about what you've said you started in 2016? Invariably, you must have established your dragnets or tentacles, in all the nooks and crannies of this country. 7 local government areas, 36 states plus Abuja and what have you. So let us into your spread, and the areas of interest.
Thank you very much. Just like we said, we are a young party. But be that as may, as we speak, we have structures in all states of the Federation, except for those troubled areas where, people are not really, the inhabitants are fleeing and all those things. So, but we have structures throughout the country, you understand? So what we do is we make use of technology more than physical interaction, in the sense that, just like we've said, we have involved a lot of youths in our party because of their creativity, their energy, their everything. So, and youths right now are, technology savvy, you understand? Okay, so we make a massive use of technology to sensitize, to let people be aware of what. So
you do have offices? Do you have offices in all the states?
We have structures. We have office structures mainly in the major cities. Yeah, you understand? Yeah. But we are making massive use of, because we don't have all the money. We are not a big party.
I was going to ask you about funding of the party. How are you going about funding?
We are not a big party. You understand? So, but we have brought out a lot of ideas. A lot of youths are turning to us. You understand? They are looking at what we are saying. And it is not enough. They know that it is not enough to just sit down and complain. The government is bad, we don't have money, there is poverty, we don't have food. What have you contributed to the eradication of those things? You understand what I'm saying? So that is why we have made use of massive use of technology to sensitize people. People are beginning to listen. People are beginning to understand what we stand for. You understand what I'm saying? People are beginning to understand that, okay, this is a party. Politics aside, these are things that we have known all these years, but this is the first time it is being set into our faces.
Now you have a presidential candidate.
Yes.
Do you have other candidates in the other categories?
Yes. Currently, we have 8 governorship candidates. We have candidates for Senate, House of Rep, councillorship. Those ones are many. You understand what I'm saying? Youthful people. And State House of Assemblies. We have parties. We have these candidates in all these areas, But because we are young, you understand? Like, for instance, I cannot tell you that in far north we have councillorship candidates, for example. But predominantly around the center, we have, and the states that, you know, the very popular states, like in the Southwest, we have governorship candidates. We have in Kaduna, we have House of Reps, we have Senate, you know, spread all over the country. You know,
So I'm still coming to the, you said a lot of youths are now turning to your party.
Yes.
How many of these candidates that are vying for position across board are below 40?
Below 40, most.
Yeah, maybe they're not so below 40. Those are the not too young people.
Yes.
I don't want to campaign for them on this set though, but we have someone like Chike Okebu, lovely guy, you know. Maybe about 2 or 3 are below 40. But those are the not too young to run candidate. We are a little bit we're not too young to run. We're somewhere in the middle age and all of that, but we're also pulling our weight, you know. So our logo, mind you, is also one of the things. Our logo is a computer. And that logo, it's meant to connect, especially the youth population of this country is the largest population. The students in universities and polytechnics and all of that alone, if you take all the tertiary institutions, they are almost 10 to 12 to 15 million. And they can relate with this idea. And if you look at that logo, it's a computer, but insert in the computer is a plant. And the plant kind of overshoots the computer to let people know that, look, whereas we are a technology party, we are the future party, but the future is now. However, we are not forgetting our past, agriculture, our history, where we're coming from as a people. So it's a very well-embedded party.
As a matter of fact, from what we can understand, your party is technology-based. And I was going to ask you whether you have any plans for homegrown technology, because after all said and done, technology drives other sectors of the economy. Now let's go to agriculture, which is one sector that has been neglected by successive administrations over the years. But it's only now that Nigeria is beginning to, you know, celebrate rice production, for instance. Now, what are you going to do in this sector? Because, of course, we believe that some of the richest individuals in the West are farmers. So what are you going to do in this respect?
So, thank you very much. It's a very, very massive question you've asked. Number one, you know, we commend the rice revolution that's going on. However, I believe also that that in order to properly diversify agriculture, you can't focus on one item only. You know, so for example, Nigeria is number 1 to 5 in the world in the production of sesame seed, millet, sorghum, all right, you know, cassava,
soybean, and many.
Soybean, yam, gum arabic. Yes. So now, as a party, we are going to also look at this because we need to maintain our position. Look at cocoa. Cocoa, we used to be almost number 1 in the past. And all of a sudden, Côte d'Ivoire produces 10 times the cocoa that Nigeria produces now, about 2.5 million. This palm oil that I'm talking to you about, Malaysia and Indonesia, they came to this country and got the seeds. Okay, and they went abroad, and now they produce 25 billion liters of palm oil in a year. Nigeria produces about 20 million liters. All right, 25 billion. So Nigeria produces about 2 billion liters, actually. So each of them is producing at least 12 times or 14 times what Nigeria is producing. So part of what we're going to do in Agric is to have a proper focus on all of these areas where we're doing well. Cocoa, we lost out. Côte d'Ivoire overtook us. Ghana overtook us. Cameroon is overtaking us now. And one other country in Southeast Asia also overtaking us. So we're going to have a much more broad-based approach to agriculture, number one. Number two, you mentioned something very critical. You said, look, technology drives everything. That's science and technology. All right? Now, science and technology, we have to take science into agriculture. And that is part of what we're going to do with our educational system. So what we're trying to do is to reposition education, but in a systemic manner to ensure that the repositioning of education actually impacts agric, impacts infrastructure, impacts the industry, impacts manufacturing, impacts the crude oil sector. All right, so that's what we're trying to do. So our focus on agric will be that we have to take science into agric so that the productivity of our agricultural endeavor actually begins to triple and quadruple. And you mentioned the fact that the richest people in the world are farmers. That's a double-edged sword because, If you go to South Africa, about 81% of the landmass of South Africa is used for farming. But in places of South Africa, Kenya, Zambia, within Africa here, we find a scenario where the natives of those places are pushed to the fringes. So a place like Kenya, Uganda, at the other time I was in Uganda, there was a show on their TV that we in East Africa, we should begin to produce the things that we eat. We cannot say we don't have food to eat. Our people are hungry, emaciated and all of that. Meanwhile, we use our landmass to grow flowers, which they send to Europe. They grow coffee, they grow tea, which the people don't eat. Now, the owners of the coffee farm and the tea farms are massive people, many of them Europeans, who employ our people as farmhands. So we need to actually also set the philosophy of what we want to achieve in agri to say, okay, how do we ensure that whereas technology is going to make it into agri, and eventually we would have large farms owned by some barons, but how do we protect our peasants so that they don't end up as farmhands? Because what is obvious is that subsistence farming cannot be, cannot be leveraged into the future.
So what you're
those are the kind of ways that we're looking at.
What you're trying to say is we're going to take away the middleman from agri, and the farmers will now, transact directly with the buyers.
Yes. Now, the middleman, what in this works, the kind of middleman we don't want are those middlemen who come and exploit our people. Let me tell you, not only in farming, and also in solid minerals. I will not mention any name per se, but there are some people who come to this country and they just stay on the fringes, and then they tell the peasants to go and get solid minerals for them. Or to get some kind of, they go into the market. A friend of mine who does business from Turkey, even a Nigerian but based in Turkey, told me about this. In Nasarawa State, they go there, they buy all of these things for cheap, sesame seeds for very cheap, direct from the farmer. They are middlemen. Now, when I went to Katsina State, I realized that one of the systems by which this rice revolution is gaining ground is that they seem to be having some sort of commodity boards back. Yes. So a kind of system of commodity board is now taking place, whereby when the farmer goes into the farm and harvests the rice, yes, they have a way of taking it to a certain board that assures the price for them. So commodity boards make sense. In Katsina, in the north of Nigeria today, that is working. You will see those places are guarded by soldiers, all right? And you see them well made out place, guarded by soldiers, where the farmers, they take their goods there, they know that, okay, I've taken my goods there, you have it recorded, I can be assured of my money. The middlemen we don't want, especially are some foreigners, some of them Chinese, some of them Indians, who come into the country and buy our products from these farmers too cheap, because those farmers are not very much aware of the kind of prices they should be getting for their product. We will not want that one. But commodity board system actually works. Okay, Mr. Tokpe, we're now going to take our tips where we see we read the reactions of Nigerians to your party manifesto. First, we have Abdul Musa. I still believe we can do with a few political parties in order to minimize the cost of organizing elections. We can emulate advanced democracies where they have 2 or 3 strong political parties and some few less visible ones. That way we can further develop our own democracy.
All right, now from Dele Jack Solomon, most parties fielding candidates in the 2019 general election clearly articulated actions on important and strategic issues that affect Nigerians, especially the vulnerable groups. These strategic actions include, but it's not limited to, leveraging on technology to break digital divide, job creation for youths, revamping the education sector, mechanizing agriculture, and promoting gender equality. But implementational factor will remain the albatross towards achieving these set goals.
And Dele Jack Solomon says it is pertinent for candidates to itemize plans on preparedness for emergencies, mitigating the effects of emergencies on households and recovery of survivors to prevent more Nigerians from plunging into poverty. These parties and their candidates haven't fully itemized in the manifesto.
All right, now, Festus Kimbewa, there is no doubt that these new political parties are resetting our political debate, which is good. The only thing I appreciate in the new parties is in our country is the fact that they all stand for social justice and building on one nation, but they don't have capacity to win election.
And I think the next tweet is directed to you. Please, ANRP, Ibrahim Tudu says, how are you going to fight corruption? Do you believe corruption is a monster that can prevent any meaningful progress? What are your strategies?
All right, now, from Ibrahim Modu Aji, what is the dispositions of ANRP and YDP on digital economy?
And Dele Jackson Solomon again says, as it stands now, the 2019 election battle is between APC and PDP. Other parties fielding some credible candidates are yet to do their homework by campaigning and mobilizing electorates that could give them the needed votes, while it is glaring that young Nigerians are yet to take the destiny of the country in their hands, as the old order is not ready to hand over political leadership to them.
Well, we'd like the presidential candidate to address the question on corruption.
On corruption.
Not only corruption, but, okay, someone said digital economy. We are the digital party, right? So everything about our party is digital. Even the way we speak is digital, you know. So that's that. But for those guys who keep saying, look, it should actually be made into a crime for anybody to come and say only two parties can win an election. You know, because, again, we don't blame them that much. I think we're trying our best. We're right there in the space, and any vote we get is going to be a vote for the person that's voting. If you believe that you can lead this country and you can do a better job than has been done for the past 20 years, ANRP is your party, and we should vote for us. Everywhere you see us, that computer party.
Can you still
now, so that
expatiate
the truth
on the
is
corruption?
That, no, we'll get to that corruption.
Yeah.
You know, the issue is that the issue is that, you know, the APC and PDP have become bigger. When they started, they were funded by government. We are parties that are coming now, no funding from anyone. And, you know, the youth of this country should also be careful of the crab mentality. When we see our own type of people going up, let's support them. Let's not drag them down. And it also takes time for us to get to a certain point. But listen, what's most important is to start. All right? If you don't start and you're keeping it in your head, and a lot of us will come and blow grammar and theorize about what should be and what shouldn't be and all of that, start. If you don't start, you will never achieve anything. On corruption, there are several approaches. Of course, I believe that corruption, let me say this, there's going to be several approaches to corruption. What is going on in Nigeria sometimes is not corruption. When someone has a mental issue, you don't call it corruption. As it happened in the time when Fashola was, you know, taking some people to Aro, you know, to mental hospital, or Yaba left. You need to begin to do some of that to some of the people. How can you take money meant for HIV patients and you pocket it, and white people are dying?
So it's a mental case or something?
Of course. What they call corruption in this country is a mental problem. And there's a lot of addiction that we need to cure. You know, when people get used to money, free money, and they believe they can spend it, it's an addiction. So that's on one side, number one. Number two, a leader that will stop corruption must actually be able to, first of all, lead by example. If we say, look, it's very important for a leader to be able to declare the assets openly without coercion.
Have you done that?
Oh, when I get into office. But that's not a big deal. It's inside our party constitution that anybody that gets into office must actually declare. So that's one, you must lead by example. And number three, you must be able to actually sanction a number of people, send them to jail.
We are pressed by time now, but before we actually, sign them off, please, let's get something. What are your chances in one or two, in yes or no answer if you can? What are your chances of winning at any level of the election?
People are listening to us. People are listening. And I'm telling you that even as we speak, and they are watching, they are changing their minds.
So
because
they are going to vote for you?
Definitely.
Thank you. On that note, we conclude this segment of conversation, because we'll have another party that is coming in also to sell their manifesto.
Yes, we're so grateful.
And
you don't get these things.
And you made fantastic use of the platform.
Thank you so much.
All right. So at this point, I'd like to thank the presidential candidate, Mr. Tope Fashola of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, ANRP. Thank you for coming. God bless. And the Deputy Director General of the party's campaign organization, Mr. Deji Botosho. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
the show. All right. Now, Good Morning Nigeria continues after this break.
You are watching NTA, Nigerian Television Authority. For more information and news updates, visit our website at www.nta.ng, or you can follow us on Twitter at NTA News Now, or you can like us on Facebook at NTA Network News. Stay connected on our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NTA News Online. Watch our live stream at www.nta.ng/live. NTA, you can't beat the rich.
The Nigerian Television Authority News 24 channel, your dependable all-round news station, offering you world-class news programs, documentaries, spotlights, promos, and information highlights. Take advantage of our network reach and advertise your interest, goods and services with us. NTA News 24, first among equals with digital broadcasting. You can reach us on Channel 21 Terrestrial TV and Channel 101 on the Star Times platform. For more inquiries, please call Henry on 0803 379 0884. Join us today.
Why don't you people sell imported materials here? As beautiful as the shop is.
Auntie, buying foreign goods does not help our economy. Neither does it boost local production. And the good thing is Nigerian-made products are high quality. And to make Nigeria great again, that is why I only sell made in Nigeria products. Because change begins with me.
I'm convinced. Change begins with me too.
Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Nigerians. Suicide bombers are not spirits. They are not ghosts. They are human beings like you and me. They live amongst us. They are your neighbors. They are your friends today, but terrorists tomorrow. So you must know your neighbor now. Security begins with you and me. Know your neighbor. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me.
If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
And we thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria up to this moment. We're still reaching you on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now, for the second part of today's conversation on the 2019 campaign manifestos of political parties, we now have in the studio the national officials of the Young Democratic Party. And we actually have Bolaji Oni. Bolaji Oni is the National Secretary, Young Democratic Party. Thank you, Bolaji, for joining us this morning.
Well, we also have joining us Godwin George Amadin, the National Advisor, Young Democratic Party. Welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
And that is Ugo
That
Nwafo.
is a legal advisor, actually.
National legal advisor. Ugo Nwafo. National legal advisor.
Ugo, you are welcome to the program. You're welcome to the program. Now, let's begin by asking you, Ugo, to give us a background of the Young Democratic Party.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
I wish you'd say.
Thank you very much, NTA, for having us. It's a beautiful privilege to be here. Okay. First of all, we came before the advent of all these not too young to run. We initiated our process in 2013, before the present government came in. In 2013, we applied to INEC to be registered as a political party. And our name, Youth, was refused by INEC. And, well, we didn't give in. We continued, and finally we applied and got the name Young Democratic Party, approved on December 2013. Then by 2014, we initiated our process, submitted our forms to INEC, By February, we submitted our forms to INEC. And somehow, we had a problem. To cut the long story short, we had a little issue with INEC. INEC actually, at that point, refused to register us as a political party because not many people were willing to come out to fight for the political space. The young people. The young people were a bit scared. But we were the first. We were the first initiators of this. So we went to court against INEC. And by 4th of March 2015, that was about 3 weeks before election. And I remember election was 28th of March 2015. By 4th of March 2015, INEC, the Court of Appeal, the Federal High Court in Abuja, gave us judgment and declared that we were deemed registered as a political party as of 2014. And INEC went to appeal. And on 8th of December 2015, the Court of Appeal reaffirmed the judgment.
Now, your party I want to help you with time, because time is, so that you can tell us about your party manifesto and all of that.
Registered, and we were issued with a certificate in 2016. Okay, and that was where we became a full-fledged political party. Now, why I'm saying all these things is to show you that we've been dogged about this matter. We've been on this matter. We've been on revolution, on a good revolution, not forceful revolution, a good revolution. That's why I'm trying to give you all this background. So we are a political party registered, duly registered, before the advent of the new political parties that you're seeing.
What is the structure of your party like? I mean, are you present in local government areas or states?
Okay, before we talk about present, let's talk about the philosophy of the party. Let's talk about why Young Democratic Party? Why the new political party? Why are we here? We are the difference between our party and any other party is about the focus. Count them, PDP, APC, Abundant, all of them together are talking about the same thing. But we are talking about the focus. The focus is the Nigerian person. We even want the oil to dry. Why? Oh, yes. Let the oil go. Because we're not thinking. Everybody's thinking about the oil. We're not talking about price of oil. We're not interested in all the price of oil. Let the oil dry. The Nigerians will think, if we don't have oil, can't we survive? Can't we survive as a people? We are talking about using our initiative. The Nigerian person, the Nigerian young man, is very energetic. He's very strong. What we are lacking in the country is about galvanization. How do we galvanize the people? How do we gab the people together? It's not about the oil. So the party, Young Democratic Party, wants the oil to dry. Let the oil dry today. When it dries, we will not be hungry. We will think. That's what we're thinking.
Okay, give us an idea of what you would do, when oil dries up.
If oil dries up, yes. Me and you will think.
No, because you are...
Because right now, let me give you an instance.
Focus. So what are you now
The focus is on the innovation of the mind.
Let's share the innovation.
Give you an instance. Look at our young people. Our young people go to the streets. Go to the streets. We do a lot of street work. Go to the streets. You will see the little things, the efforts that Nigerians do, the young people put in within the little economic climate that they have right now. You see, Nigerians are working hard. If you go to some of these places, go to Alaba, go to some of these places, you see young people, you see the energy. Now, the reason why everybody is thinking about I was listening to some of the people talking about the budget. Budget cannot be financed. How can a country of our status be thinking about financing oil, financing budget from just oil? 9 trillion, we don't have it. It's not even enough. That means what we have is not enough. So we are thinking about innovation, technology, innovation. And we have, in fact, we have proposals for the new National Assembly when they come in, including, we'll talk about corruption. We have bills that we are ready to give to the new National Assembly, the next National Assembly, about corruption. We have innovation on technology to give to them.
So how do you intend to diversify the economy since you said the oil should just dry up?
It should just dry, right?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, we diversify the economy by working on the Nigerian mind. In fact, the Nigerian young person is incapacitated. First of all, they are incapacitated. They are not thinking. Now, the oil that we are talking about now, it's me and you don't see. Do you see oil? I don't know whether you've seen a barrel of oil, 2 barrels of oil. I mean, you hear of all those things on TV. But what me and you can see on the street is that man selling maybe suya, selling, I'm talking about small-scale businesses, We need to get into small-scale businesses. Most of the companies, most of the countries that are doing so well, they don't produce anything. They do retail. They just innovate. That's all. So I'm talking about innovation. Basically, it's about innovation. Okay? But we need to capacitate the young person. We need to make him understand that we are ready. We are ready to galvanize you for us to start. That's where the starting point is.
Okay, as we make progress, we'll
talk about the details.
We'll delve into other aspects of this conversation because we've raised a number of issues, very, very pertinent issues for that matter.
We are ready for that.
That we'll have to discuss because they all, bother around the governance. Yes. But let's turn to Bolaji Oni, who is the National Secretary of the party. What is this structure like?
Okay. Good morning once again, and Happy New Year. The structure of the party, for now, we are in about 27 states, but we're well represented in all the states. Let me put 37 states, FCT inclusive. And what we were trying to do, in order to add to what my colleague had said earlier, is to try to give back to the people, to empower the youths. Now, if you check most of our structures, yes, we have some places that I will use the word the elders are still represented, because one thing we'll do, because Young Democratic Party is for, like I always tell people, the youths, the women, the young at heart. And how do I define young at heart? Somebody who still believes I have something to give. I have something to offer. Not somebody who just want to take. Because when some people get to some stage, their mentality, their focus is, oh, I'm at a retirement level. I just need to keep getting and I can collect. Yes. But here, we only refire. We don't retire. So we believe in people that, okay, even at whatever age they are still looking for how to do more or give more to the community. So that's why I will say in some parts of the country, yes, you can find some chairmen, some ex-officials who are above 45 or 50, as the case may be, but because they still have something to offer. Whenever we come together to do any rallies or anything, you see men coming out. And you look, oh, this is a gray-haired man, a gray-headed man, and he's still so energetic because that is what we stand for. We are all about what we can give back to the people and how we can build these people to believe in themselves. Because an average youth in Nigeria, I am from the Southwest. I was at home during the festive period, and I was surprised where I grew up, Ibadan to be precise. And I saw everything I keep seeing is, oh, Yahoo boys, Yahoo plus. And I was wondering, what is this Yahoo plus? At the point I was asking a younger person, sorry, can you tell me more about this? And I was like, oh, do you want to be in the system? Because I actually didn't understand. But I discovered it was more like a trending thing. And everybody's tilting towards that side. Oh, they now believe, they don't believe in education. They believe the only thing they believe in is in laptop. I need a laptop and I'm done. And this is who we call the leaders of tomorrow. I can only talk about, I'm not trying to say, oh, this is what is done in Southwest, but because that was where I am from and where I went to. And I'm very sure it happens everywhere. I stay here in the north and I see what the northern youths are doing. All we do here is drugs. And you keep wondering, and like there's a slang that a friend of mine taught me. So what we usually, when this is, if you see anybody walking, you say, oh, don't worry, he's on the diet. If you see any youth misbehave, you say he's on a diet. Why? Because the only thing now is they know about drugs, codeine, tramadol. When I was growing up, I didn't know codeine, I only know Belilin as a cough syrup. But nowadays, it is like a way of life. It is something people take. And to the extent that government had to ban it. Why? Because our youths are jobless. I was passing in an area one the other day. I saw somebody trying to build an helicopter, and he was there. And everybody was just coming to come and look and was snapping. And I was like, this person is going to end here because of the system we found ourselves. Yeah. We in the Young Democratic Party, we don't blame people. We prefer solutions. Yes. I won't say this government is good or this government is bad. I'm not against any government, neither am I for any government. I'm for good governance, like my colleague has said. And what we try to do is encourage the youths. Okay, what does what is this selling? What does Facebook has to offer? Yet it's bringing on millions. Just like I said, innovation.
Trillions, actually.
Thanks for the correction. Trillions. In dollars, for that matter. So, you know, and this is what we are trying to empower our youth to the grassroots. Now, everybody that is coming in, if you check them, when they come in, initially we had to keep restructuring ourselves, because when people come in, it's a new party. Because, like you said, we actually got our registration. We got registered on the 16th. I mean, on the 15th of January 2016. Now, when they came, they were like, "Oh, what do we have to do? There's a new party. What can we gain?" And when they got here, and they saw it's a different ball game. And when they'll say, "Oh, National, what do you have for us?" And we'll say, "Oh, this is what we have. Oh, this is no, we don't want this. This is coming from your pocket. We want what is coming from the backbone." Sorry, who's the backbone? We only have one Godfather. I have to announce this to you. We have only one Godfather, and it will surprise you that is God the Father in heaven. That is our Godfather. Okay. You can never see any names mentioned behind YDP.
You itemized some people that you're interested in changing when you come into government. And as a woman, I'm very interested in how women will be brought into government to participate fully, as they constitute at least maybe 60% of the electorate. So what are you looking at in trying to change the narrative for women in Nigeria?
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It is said that charity begins at home. We are the first party to have a first female chairperson in the system of the government.
That's right.
As well as we are the first person to have a 33-year-old as the chairman of the party in Nigeria before now. Now, let me start from there. In our structure, our financial secretary is a woman. Our publicity secretary is a woman. I'm not talking about the woman leader, the deputy woman, or the woman, whatever. Our chairperson is a woman. And like that.
How many of them are vying for elective positions?
In elective positions, right now, we actually have a little bit of a challenge. We have, in total, we have about 12 women. Now, how did that come? I personally went on a sensitization crusade. But what people keep telling you is, in the north, the challenge we face is, no, we can't come out. No, let me ask my husband. No, let me do this, let me do that. And I keep wondering, by now we need to have gotten past here. But I won't blame them, because before now they didn't hear about it. I'm believing next time we come here, it would have been a different ballgame, because now they are hearing more about it. Now, going to the southwest, I mean south and southeast, what we keep hearing is, no, people start seeing me as a prostitute. Why would I come out? They believe, oh, I'm home, I'm this, I'm that. A normal person does not run the government. And this in the southwest too, where people, the few women, because we had some handful from there, they are still like, okay, I don't care what people say. All I want is I want to change, because they are a little bit more bold. Permit me to use that word. That we are because that's a part of the country where people, the women are raised to be a man, to be independent, because an average father in the southwest will raise his female child like a male child. He will go to all the schools and have all the educations. So he sees a fellow man as a contemporary, as a colleague, where a northerner, permits me, would see a fellow man as a superior. So we keep having although that is changing, and I'm quite glad what we're having now in the system, which is actually changing. Thank you.
Okay, very interesting. Ugo Nwafo is the legal advisor to the party. Ugo, I'm returning to you, because in your first explanations, you raised some fundamental developmental issues that require some kind of further explanation for our people to understand. Innovation is a word that connotes a great deal of thinking and technology, and such can only be powered by energy. Now, how would you address the energy problem of Nigeria? It's been lingered for a long time now. How would you address that?
Okay, first of all, let's start with the starting point. Energy isn't the first point. The first point is to agree that this is a matter. Okay, right now, most people don't believe that it is a matter. They believe that oil is the solution. Okay, so we have to come to terms with the fact that we need to leave oil alone and focus on the Nigerian person, the young person, on the youth. fact, our constitution puts it properly that the prime resource of a Nigerian is the person. That's our constitution. Okay, so if we first of all agree to that, that can be agreed at any time. Then we sit down and galvanize. That's the second point. Galvanize. We galvanize the young people. When we galvanize, most of the innovations don't need energy. Some don't require energy. Things like broom making don't require energy. Some of the little menial jobs don't require energy. What they require is thinking. Now, the issue about energy can be made to fit to Nigeria because we are still looking for energy outside Nigeria. We have not opened up the space for energy. If the space for energy is still controlled by government, so the law dealing with energy has to be dealt with. That's what we've done our research. Okay? Energy law is still being, it's by the government. It has to be opened up. Then issue about, when you talk about, let me deal with the issue about this innovation. Innovation is a broad word when you talk about innovation. Innovation has a lot of facets, has a lot of things that deal with it. You have technology, you have recreation, you have entertainment, you have anything that has to do with man's living. That's about innovation. What we are talking about is not necessarily to forget about any other work. But we are saying that the dependency of oil can only be dealt with blanking oil. That's what we're talking about. If you blank oil, we will think. Do we have things to think about? Yes, we do. Nigerians, we do. Because we do.
Now let's talk about security.
Yes.
Security is a global issue and Nigeria has had its challenges. What would you do to secure the nation's borders if elected as president?
Okay, let's deal with what is causing insecurity. Part of it is hunger. Hunger. Some people are hungry, and you don't blame them. Some other, it's about, first of all, sitting together to be able to live together as one. We need to come to terms. We need to come to terms and agree with our diversity. We have not even come to terms with our diversity. I mean, the Fulani man, the Igbo man, the headsman, whatever names everybody is called, as far as you're in Nigeria, we need to come to terms, first of all, that we don't have any another way to go. We must stay together. That has to be sat down and discussed. We can't wish it away. Because security, it's not, police can, we have, how many police people we have? How many army do we have? How many forces do we have? They can't even police the whole country. They can't. They don't even have the technology to do that, to police our borders. So you need a people-oriented kind of political system, security system. That's what we're thinking about. That's what we believe in. Where I can police my country and help the police to give them information. How many people will give police information? So it's about people-oriented political security system. That's what we're looking at. You need to get the people involved in these matters. Because governance is presently what governance is all about. I'm not talking about this present government. I'm talking about all the government. What governance is all about has been, we will come and do this for you. Nobody has ever governized the people. That's what we're talking about.
All right. Thank you, Ugonwa, for national legal.
I wanted to talk about corruption.
Corruption, we'll get there, but I'd like your colleague, Bolaji Oni, to look into one other critical aspect of national development, and that's agriculture, which remains the backbone of any industrial revolution across the globe. And what is the place of agriculture in your plan?
Okay, thank you so much. Before I deal with that, I want to say a little about what my manifesto is all about for the party, because we've as regards agriculture, yes, because we have narrowed the whole manifesto to 6 points, which is actually about security, which you've asked, about health, because we acronym the shapes, about health, about agriculture, which I'm going to talk about right now, about power, about education, and then shelter. Now, talking about agriculture, we all, at a point, Nigeria was thriving on agriculture. before the oil sheet came around. Yes. And at the same time, there's nothing stopping us from going back there. First, we need to work with our farmers. Now, most of what we see before now, like he said, and like I said earlier, we're not here to blame any government. Before now is some try to help, but it doesn't get to the roots. How do we ensure that, okay, in all what we're doing, amenities that will be provided, the amenities will get to the end user. I hope you're with me. It will get to the grassroots. Now, anything we'll provide, and also where we can make our youth or agriculture to be interesting and let our youth come into agriculture. Because really, farmers needs, it's not only the professionals that needs training. Farmers needs training. Application of, it's not all about, oh, this is how manuals are being applied. How do we grow into mechanized farming? We need to reorientate ourselves and orientate the farmers and reorientate the youth. Do that, okay, it's not only about Yahoo Plus. It's not only about taking of drugs or getting addicted. But we can actually channel our energy to our resources, because Nigeria is one of the countries with the blessed resources, most blessed resources. We have a good climate as well as good soil. I don't think there's any major things, edible things, grow in Nigeria. Now, when we now channel our energy towards that, getting everything to make sure from monitoring it from the point of disbursement to the end point of the usage, not somebody coming to siphon or in the name of the association of farmers, I'm taking this allocation to get this manure, or I'm taking all this manure and piling it in their houses, giving it to their family, friends, and all this has to stop. Because really, like he said, we'll just keep going around in circles and talking about the same thing. Everybody has a manifesto. Everybody has something to say or something to do. Only that when they get there, we discover that at the end of the day, nothing is being done because it's just about the words. It's just about, oh, we want to read the paper. This is what is always said. And when they get there, nothing is being done.
Yeah. So back to you.
Yes.
All these things you've been talking about, without power, it cannot be realized. What is power generation in your manifesto? How are you going to look at it?
Okay, first of all, I'm sorry to draw you back. I don't mean to draw you back.
Okay.
Just to help in our agricultural system, if we can achieve 70 million farmers, food is not to grow food and you see food and eat. Yes. Don't we have the soil? We have the produce just to grow. How do we galvanize 75 to 80 million Nigerians to grow food so that me and you will see sweet potato, see these ones to eat, sweet tomato? If we grow, everybody, if Mr. Bolaji, and because I grow a little bit, and if you grow and everybody grows, and the government has some incentives to that, and everybody grows, there'll be tomatoes. Do you need to now import tomatoes?
Go to power.
Yeah, let's go to power. I wanted to just deal with that, about galvanization. Now, power, we need to open like I said initially, we need to open the space. The space is too tight. The megawatts, we've been fluctuating between, sometimes you hear 3,000, 4,000, 7,000, 8,000. For 180 to 200 million people, that's not enough. Yeah. With what the government has, we're told, it's not even enough to be able to produce up to 20,000 megawatts. So we need to do something different. What is that thing that is different? We need to do something revolutionary. And I'm talking about opening up the space. Okay. I'm talking about opening up the space. The space is too tight. At most, between now and the next how many years, we can't produce more than, can we comfortably say we can produce up to 15,000 megawatts, which is not still enough for 180 million people to 200 million people. So we need to open up the space. The space is too tight. It can't help. The system has not worked, and it's not going to work in the next 4, 5, 20 years until we change the system.
All right, thank you very much indeed. We've seen that your focus is actually totally different from what we've heard from other political parties.
You would allow me to say something about
no, I will allow you to say it when it's time for us to do that. But for now, some Nigerians are responding to what you have been saying all this while. So let's try and get them read out.
Yes, we start with Yazonom Dauda. He says, apart from two major parties that we have, I believe there are other parties that can do even beyond. So let's give room for them. And Ismail Abubakar says, what policy are you going to address insecurity we're facing, especially here in the Northeast?
Okay, now we have from Multana Farouk, politicians who actually mean well for Nigeria should cultivate the habit of promoting Nigeria irrespective of their political and ethnic affiliation. They should learn how to support the government in power, learn from them, and criticize them constructively.
And Lawani Abo Hagwe says Nigeria should adopt two-party system to ease the burden of conducting elections.
All right. And we're from Multana, is it Multana Farouk?
Farouk, yes.
The point raised by YDP about the inability of Nigerians to think beyond their nose is one of the major problems we have in this country. We are too acclimatized to oil, and this has rendered Nigeria incapacitated in terms of innovation and critical thinking.
And Samaila Abubakar from Maiduguri says, what is your plan to overcome the security challenges that we are facing in the country if elected into office?
Now, Ibrahim Modu Aji, innovations and ideas are not only enough for economic development. Nigeria is not China, where young graduates are better in theory than practicals. What is YDP said dispositions on engineering, science, arts, and other sub-sectors? But before we actually round off this conversation, we'd like to ask you once again to talk about corruption.
Good, beautiful. Thank you very much. We have a different view towards corruption. What the corruption that's been fought presently before has been, I like you, Mr. Kyrian, and you finish from government and I arrest you. I'll come and look at you to look at what you did. We're looking at something. What if I'm not a good person? We have how many terms? We have, like, after this 4 terms, we have another 4 terms. We have about 24 terms coming. That's about how many years? And that's 24 terms. We have the 20 people that are corruption-free to run the system. So what about having something that is more systematic? Let's give you an instance. We are presently having some amendment to the bills. We, presently as a party, we want to push it to the House and get some people to sponsor it in the next National Assembly, where we will have amendment to the EFCC Act, ICPC Act, all the acts. We're working on it presently. What are we looking at? We're looking at when you finish becoming the president and president and governor, nobody needs to arrest you. You have 10 days within which to go to submit yourself to ICPC or EFCC. Go there.
And clear yourself.
Clear yourself. This one is not whether I like Fayoshe's face, I don't like Fayoshe's face. I like this person's face, I don't like this person's face. I like this person's face, I don't like this face. You go there. It is by law.
So it will be compulsory?
It is compulsory. You submit yourself to ICPC, EFCC.
For cross-checking?
Go and X-ray yourself. That's number 1. Number 2, the judicial body over EFCC should be left alone from the body should be left alone from the executive. Let there be. The appointing party is very important. The second party, the president can appoint, but second should be within the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative. With that, you can have control. Sure.
Okay.
And this thing we've been talking about in NBA about dismembering the Solicitor General from the office of the Attorney General. Yes, it's very important, so that if you are coming out from government, now the governors, whether APC, PDP, or even YDP, as you're coming out, nobody's against you. Go there.
And clear yourself.
Clear yourself.
All right, thank you very much indeed. We are beginning to have entirely new ideas, innovations, and new thinking with respect to how to run an administration in this country. We are itself for good. As Nigeria, we have over 90 parties, political parties in Nigeria in the political landscape today.
And I think, Kieran, by 2023, I think the youths will be ready to take over. Something will happen.
That will be a breakthrough. Okay, at this point, we'd like to thank the two gentlemen that have been speaking with us and